Welcome back. In the second part of this section, we're going to look at the same idea, but this time for Venn diagrams with three sets. So if there's three sets in our Venn diagram, we can do the same sort of work. And in fact, the idea is going to be the same as far as numerically. We're going to begin in the center and work our way to the outside using subtraction. Before we do that, I just want to point out a couple of things for the Venn diagram. So for three sets, we wind up with 8 regions in total, and I kind of just want to point out who is who. So I'll start off with regions 1, 2, and 3. So those 3 regions that we're referring to, those are places where you're only inside of A, or you're only inside of B, or you're only inside of C. So in other words, you're only in one set. So if you had a question that involved being in exactly one of the 3 sets, then we're referring to regions 1, 2, and 3. 4, 5, and 6, those are places where we're in 2 out of the 3 sets. In 4, you're inside of A and B, but you're not inside of C. 5, you're inside of A and C, but you're not inside of B. 6, you're inside of B and C, but you're not inside of A. So if we're thinking about regions 4, 5, and 6, I could say that those are places where we're in exactly 2 sets. And then finally, region 7, that's the very center. In region 7, that's where I'm inside of A and also inside of B and also inside of C. And then, of course, there's the very last region, the exterior. That's where you're not inside of anything. So region 8, we are in exactly 0 sets. So depending on what we're looking for, our answer can be found in one of those 8 regions, or maybe more of those 8 regions. But same sort of idea as to working with the Venn diagram. We're going to first decide who is A, who is B, who is C, write out all of our information, and then fill in our Venn diagram, working our way from inside to outside. All right, time for an example. So example 2, we're looking at a survey. This time there are 77 business students in their first year, and we have all sorts of information about what they read. Good news for us, a little bit less work. We've already defined who A, who B, and who C is. A is the set of the Maclean's readers, B is the set of Times Colonist readers, and C is the set of all the Nexus readers. So let's just summarize what we have. Firstly, we know as far as the universe goes, there are 77 people in this survey. So all of the 8 regions all together should all add up to 77 at the very end of it all. 25 read Maclean's, that is the number of things in set A. 19 read Times Colonist, that's the number of things in B. 50 read Nexus, so that's the number of things in C. And now a whole bunch more information. 13 read Nexus, which is set C, and Maclean's, which is set A. So those 13 people are inside of A intersect C. 14 read Times Colonist, which is set B, and Maclean's, which is set A. So that's being inside of A and also B. There's 14 folks there. And then finally, we've got 11 reading Nexus and Times Colonist. That's C and B. So B intersect C, there should be 11 people there. And then finally, there's 9 who read all 3 papers. So there's 9 people who read A and B and C. So A intersect B intersect C is 9. All right, let's start filling things in. So just as we did before, I'm going to start in the center and then work my way outside. So the very center, the number of people who read all 3 papers is 9. So I've put 9 inside of A intersect B intersect C. Okay, so now let's work our way up the list. When I say B intersect C, having 11 people in it, so first, where is B intersect C? B intersect C would be this little oval shape that I've drawn here. So I need to have 11 people in that in total, and that is 2 regions. One of them's got 9 in it, so I can figure out that if I need 11 folks in total, then I need another 2 people to be in there. So now that adds up to 11 people in B intersect C. And I'll do the same for the other 2 pairs of sets. A intersect B, which is this oval, needs 14 people in it. I've already got 9 there, so 14 minus 9, that leaves me with 5 people. And then I'm going to do the last one, A intersect C, that would be that little oval. I need 13 people there. I've already got 9 people in there, so I need just another 4. Okay, so we did the 3 sets together, the pairs of sets. Now we'll do the individual sets. So this is where, again, we're going to need to subtract, because if I'm thinking about set C, that's this whole circle, which consists of 4 regions, and I'm supposed to have 50 people in there all together. So I first need to add up how many do I currently have. I have 4 plus 9 plus 2. I've got 15 people that I've already put in this Venn diagram, and I need 50 in total. So to get the 50 in total, I'll take 50 minus the 4, the 9, and the 2, and that leaves me with 35 people. And I'll do the same for the remaining 2 sets. Set B is supposed to have 19 people in it, and I currently have 16 people in it already, 2 plus 9 plus 5. So 19 minus the 16 that I've already put in, there's 3 people left. And lastly, for set A, we have supposed to have 25 people. We have 4 plus 9 plus 5. We have 18 people in total. 25 minus the 18 that we've put in is 7 people remaining. Okay, last thing though, don't forget, we're not finished yet. A lot of times students will stop at this point, but remember there's one more region, the exterior, that we still need to talk about. So we need to fill in how many are not inside of any of the 3 sets. So this is where I'm reminding myself that we're supposed to have 77 items in this Venn diagram in total. So now if I see how many things have I put in already, the 7 plus the 5, the 3, the 4, the 9, the 2, the 35, all of those things I've already put inside the Venn diagram. The question is, how many things does that add up to? So we add that all up, 7 plus 5 plus 3 plus 4 plus 9 plus 2 plus 35. It all adds up to 65 rather. So we have 65 things already in our Venn diagram, and I need 77 things in total. So 77 minus 65 leaves another 12. So 12 people are in the exterior. So now we can say all kinds of things about the readership of these business students. We can talk about how many read 1 paper or 2 or 3 or none of them. So let's do some follow-up questions. Okay, reading only nexus. So same thing as before, I'm going to shade in the appropriate region, and then I'll just use my Venn diagram to come up with the answer. Reading only nexus, that would be being only inside of C, not inside of anywhere else. And we already know how many are in there. There is 35 in this region. So 35 students that were surveyed only read nexus, don't read anything else. Second one, we've got reading Maclean's and Times Colonist, but not nexus. So we need to be inside of set A, we need to be inside of set B, but we need to not be inside of set C. So let's see where we're talking about. You need to be inside of A and B, so you need to be in the overlap between A and B, but we're not going to include the part that includes nexus. So if I'm thinking about who am I referring to here, I'm referring to that part of the Venn diagram. That part is inside of A, so those people read Maclean's. It's also inside of B, they read Times Colonist, but it's not inside of C. They don't read Nexus. And then that's another quick one to answer because, again, refer to my Venn diagram. There's 5 people in that region. So there's 5 people who read those 2 things exactly, reading Maclean's and Times Colonist, but not reading Nexus. Okay, none of the 3 papers, that would be the exterior, and so we know exactly the answer for that. That's the reason why we should always find the exterior. Maybe we are interested in knowing how many things are not inside of A or B or C. And so in this case, we already have that answer, and that's that there are 12 people who don't read any of those 3 papers. Okay, last one. And this one's a little bit more cautious for us. We have to be a little bit more careful because we'll notice the word or here. So reading Nexus or Maclean's, which of course includes the possibility that they read both of them. So these are people who are inside of set C or they're inside of set A or maybe both of them. And at the same time, they are not reading Times Colonist. And at the same time, they are not inside of B. I know where C union A would be. It would be all of these regions, here, 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 and there. But of course, I don't want to include any part of the Venn diagram that is Times Colonist readers. So I'm going to make sure that I don't include that region, nor the very center, nor this part that's over here, because those parts are all areas that are all happening to be inside of B. So what I have left, I have people who only read Nexus. They don't read the Times Colonist. They only read Maclean's. They don't read Nexus or Times Colonist. They read Nexus and Maclean's, but not the Times Colonist. They only read Nexus, but not the Times Colonist. These 3 regions, these are people who are reading Nexus or Maclean's or both, and certainly not the Times Colonist, not for any of those 3 regions. So there are 7 plus 4 plus another 35. There are 46 people in total who read Nexus or Maclean's or both, but not the Times Colonist.